The General is one of the more unusual episodes in that it is not centered around an escape bid by number 6 or an attempt by the village authorities to find out why he resigned. Scriptwriter Louis Griefer explains his own approach to the format.
Originally, you know, you've got guys trying to escape, and then you get him rushing out into the sea, and then these big balloons and helicopters and things like that. But that was an easy way. You know what I mean? That was it. He wants to get away. But since I decided that it was slightly more than that, that's why I went for the General. I went for the General because it was an aspect of life at that particular time. Well, the idea was I had children then who were going through their O and A levels, and both of them were feeling very hostile to the rote learning that they were going through. They were both very intelligent kids who liked information and would have liked to have studied things in their own form. What they hated was having to pass exams, and always have hated it. Well, you know, I think it's a conflict that children face now, not specific to that time. I think one of the problems with education is that kids are very open to education, but at the same time they're pretty opposed to being forced into a sort of sausage grinder. And the same thing happened even to me as an older age. I love history, but history lessons at school put me off history for at least 20 years. Pat loved General. He thought that was just what he wanted to do. It was exactly his cup of tea. George less so, if you know what I mean. But I said George and I were great mates anyway. I mean, we were great mates, and we could talk to each other anytime we wanted to. I mean, socially as well as professionally. He didn't raise too much rumpus, but Pat actually thought that was exactly what the series should be around, in that sort of slightly, mysterioso area. But if I'd had to write 3 of these episodes, I would have gone quite
Peter Howell, who vividly remembers working with Patrick.
Patrick McGoohan has an extraordinary personality. When you were sitting in the makeup room next to him, where this man, electric personality, and this burning dedication to what he was doing, and the fact that he had more panache, more electricity flowing through him, that he wasn't frightening, it was exciting, and you could see how it was that he could have the energy to write and direct and star in this extraordinary piece. And it's a quality which is very rare indeed. I remember particularly on the stage in Ibsen's Brand, when the same quality was there. He just took you with him and just took over in a way that very few performers in my lifetime, certainly I remember, have done. I think this took over the whole day when we were filming, and he was involved with everything, absolutely everything, without in a way getting in the way of what the director was actually doing. He was very conscious, he was very involved in it. So in a way I'm not at all surprised at the manner in which this series has acquired the reputation it has. It must be quite large to do with the very fascinating panache of this extraordinary man. I wish we saw more of him in this country.
One particular sequence in The General necessitated the making of a wax replica of the professor's head. Peter Howell remembers having mixed feelings during the preparation for this scene.
I went in the day before, not really quite realizing how they were going to do it, and the man with enormous charm gradually built up around my head this plaster stuff. And I didn't realize he was actually going to gradually take every orifice away. I mean, he put it over my mouth. I can't remember how he did it, whether I was able to breathe through the nose. But I gradually became scared, because I suffer a bit from claustrophobia. It wasn't that he was unpleasant. He was absolutely charming, but I didn't realize quite that it was going to be frightening. It became a bit frightening. And he said, just right, just hold it there, just for another few minutes. And I was sweating underneath that. But it was effective. and it worked. It was just that, but if I'd prepared myself, like having an anaesthetic or something, you know, I suddenly began to get very scared. But that's what he did. And then when we came to do the moment when Patrick McGoohan brings the stick very hard down and cracks this mask, he was very clever, Patrick McGoohan, because he said, I don't want to go too close to your face because it might slip and it might hit you. I don't want to be nonsense about that, so I can be very careful. And then when it came to the actual take, he did it very, very hard indeed. And I think what he was saying was rather typical of him, really, that he didn't want to frighten me, but he had total control. He was absolutely certain he could do it hard without it catching my ear. And so he put my mind at rest and then did it, but pretty close to the ear.
Another co-star in this episode was Norman Mitchell, who many years before was in rep with Patrick McGoohan in Sheffield. He clearly remembers an amusing on-set incident during his appearance as the electrician.
Well, it was a three-wheel, sort of motorbike with three wheels on it, and it had a gate change on it. And they asked me if I could ride a motorbike, and I said yes, because I'd ridden at Castle Donington on the dirt track and all that stuff. And 2 days on the film, which was quite good for us, not good for Pat, not good for the producer.
The General marks the only appearance of the black box machine that accepts the security pass discs, one of which is issued to number 6 by the Rebel and the Administration Department, number 12.
Pat brought that in himself, yeah. Yeah, that was one of Pat's. No, just that Pat arrived with it one day and he was fascinated by this. He liked it, he thought it was a nice thing to use, so he did, yeah. He actually said, John, what do you think of this? Great, isn't it? What I didn't say at the time was that one of my suppliers in town, a place called Studio and Television Hire, a man called John Beek used to run there, who did all of the Danger Man series as production buyer. And that John had a whole range of those things. I could have put my hand on 3 or 4 of them. But you don't say that to the governor. He's brought something in, you know he likes it, you know he wants to use it, you say, well done, sir. And leave it at that.